If there was one word for the current Pokemon market, it would be volatile. Though before we get into this video, I'm actually gifting one subscriber this awesome Raikou V from Crown Zenith. Now to know if you won, if I do reply to your comment with this Togepi emoji, then well done, this card is being sent your way. Now, volatile is seriously the only word that can accurately describe the current Pokemon market. Seeing as in early 2025, card prices were going off the charts, though now they are all retracing. And that's why in this video, I want to go over some historical performances and also provide a bit of an insight into what we can expect for the future of Pokemon cards. Now, I should say that I think we just came out of a bit of a perfect storm scenario, and I do imagine that the crazy hype that we just experienced was definitely out of the ordinary and not the standard kind of hype and momentum swing. Though just from my own perspective, it definitely looks like getting product is easier than before, and thankfully that seems to be a little bit of a shared opinion among collectors. I'm not saying it's completely back to normal because we're all still paying over retail price for a lot of sets, though definitely nowhere near like it was in January of this year. Though I think when speaking about the future, one point that I think is really important to cover is don't expect sealed products to go back to pre-2025 levels. The hobby has just become far more expensive and wholesale has also gone up, so definitely get prepared that the hobby will be more expensive from here on. Now, I'm not saying that the hobby is going to always just go up, up, and up, which kind of everyone's just expecting that at the moment because card prices have just been going, just totally going reckless at the moment. Though we all can see that wholesale and distribution prices have gone up, and that obviously gets passed on to the consumer. And I think the whole days of when we were paying such low prices for Stellar Crown, such low prices for Twilight Masquerade, and the days of getting, sets at a bargain when you pre-order, that's slowly becoming a thing of the past. I think Pokemon card prices and sealed product has definitely gone up, and that's going to be here to stay. Though personally, what I think is going to be interesting is where are the prices of singles going to go? Because right now, sealed is getting opened at a really excessive rate. Not just for people enjoying the hobby. I mean, if you look at the whole rip and ship culture, it has become a huge thing to open sealed product. People love connecting with an audience about it, streaming, talking with people, content creation. It's become a real big area. And I think with that, a lot of singles are coming on the market. Though you got to remember, right? All the singles that come on the market, they also need a buyer. And if the buyer is not there, then the price of a lot of these cards go down. I think we can see singles becoming far more affordable and sealed still holding that position. Though I think one thing that a lot of people aren't asking right now, how long can that actually last and how long can that momentum continue? Because if you've got sealed product being super expensive, right? And then you've got singles coming down in price, it kind of begs the question, what is the point of opening the sealed product? Now, previously, that never was even a thing that people asked because people just collected the cards. Though, of course, now the whole paradigm has shifted. A lot of people care about the value of their cards and their collections. And honestly, I don't really blame them when you're spending $250 for a brand new booster box. I mean, that whole thing of, hey, I'm just going to open this set purely for fun, that's slowly becoming a little bit less of a thing because I think people, right now are kind of saying, well, 3 booster boxes or a Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, that is the kind of prices we're dealing with, with how expensive the hobby has become. I am very, very cognizant of the fact of how expensive Pokemon cards are at the moment. And of course, when you do that, I don't really want to also be telling my audience, hey, just rip things for fun, dude, because the reality is they're very expensive at the moment. So, I mean, hopefully you do pull some cool cards that make it worth it, but you also have to be realistic. And I think that kind of mindset shift is taking place in 2025. And I believe with this new price increase, it's going to continue with 2026 and beyond. Now, another area to talk about is to expect previously desired chase cards to recirculate. One thing about Pokemon collecting, Pokemon investing, this whole area is that things come in cycle. Something's trending today, and then it stops trending in a few years, and then it just keeps going up, down, up, down. There's going to be some cards that recycle, and predicting this is important. Now, how do you predict these things? Well, the best way is to look at the Pokemon games and kind of see what's trending and what kind of nostalgia peaks are going to happen. For example, we just saw Mega Evolution cards kind of reinvigorate and get a lot of fire underneath their bellies. We saw a lot of Mega Evolution cards sell for ridiculous price points, and the reason why that happened was because everyone's super excited for the new Pokemon Legends ZA game, so it kind of was just a natural progression. A lot of this happens in Pokemon. For example, we got Gigantic Gigantamax. Right now, Gigantamax isn't a thing. No one really talks about Gigantamax. No one's really bothered about it. No one's even excited about it. It's just a thing right now that people just moved on from. But there will come a time when all the kids that played during the Nintendo Switch era and all those memories start being recirculated. Now, when that happens, you can bet your bottom dollar that people are going to say, man, you know what? Gigantamax was pretty cool, dude. You know what? Those Gigantamax cards are awesome. And guess what? It starts becoming trending again. People start looking for PSA 10 copies and the kind of cycle repeats. Now, also for some incredible news, I've actually teamed up with Collector and we are both giving away this PSA 10 Arceus V-Star from Crown Zenith. You can enter now on my channel's Discord. Now, today's video is sponsored by the Collector app. Now, the Collector app is a modern solution to managing and tracking your collectible investment portfolio. Collector pulls in recently sold prices and updates the app in real time. Now, if you love investing in collectibles, then you'll actually really appreciate their latest set analytics tab. This allows you to dive deep into any set's historical performance, along with giving you a full breakdown of rarities, giving you a very clear sense of how stable or unpredictable a set has been over time. Honestly, a huge shout out to Collector for the PSA 10 Arceus V-Star giveaway, which is currently happening in my channel's Discord. If you want to learn more about Collector, check out the links in the video's description. A big thank you to Collector for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into it. Now, another point which is pretty important, though maybe it's not that much for this year, though it's something to be aware of, and that is get ready for AI to have more pull power in collectibles, especially 2026 onwards. Now I get it, AI, I mean, everyone's so sick of hearing that word, a word that was like so cool to hear in 2023 and 2024. You're like, oh, AI powered. Now people just hear AI and they're like, ugh. Okay, it's cool, I guess. I mean, everything's become so AI driven, and you know, in marketing, which I work in, literally everything's just AI. Every tool you have now, they just have to add an AI feature and people just go, wow, it's amazing, right? Though, even though it's kind of overdone and everyone uses it and everyone talks about AI, I think in collectibles, you will see AI become more prevalent. Now, there is gonna be some real cool things that AI will be able to do. One, I think AI will become very powerful at detecting fake Pokemon cards. You know, fake Pokemon cards are getting more common. I wouldn't be surprised as time goes on that, you know, apps get introduced, or you'll be able to take a photo with your camera and it'll be able to detect things to make sure it's not fake. But not just for that, I think even with grading, as we can see with tag and how popular it's become, I definitely wouldn't count out that AI is gonna really rule the grading market. Whether that means PSA starts introducing it, whether that means grading reports, all this is going to become far more commonplace. It's something to just consider that AI will become a thing, whether or not we don't actually know which avenue it's going to come, but just be prepared for it, because I think 2026 onwards, we're going to see much more AI entering the hobby. Now, another area that we need to speak about is that collector fatigue is real, and it's likely going to become a more persistent issue with 2025 and beyond. Now, you may be thinking, wait, what's collector fatigue? Collector fatigue is kind of what we're going through at the moment with so many chase cards being released, so many illustration rares, so many special illustration rares. People just don't know what is a rare card anymore and what's not that much of a rare card as well. The line's getting a little bit blurred, and I think a lot of people are just saying, wait, is that a good chase card? Oh, is that even that rare anymore? I mean, if you even look at the Scarlet and Violet era, this is just off the top of my head, okay? You've had so many cards that were chase cards for the Scarlet and Violet era, and right now they're not even desired anymore. I mean, you had the Miriam special illustration rare back in 2023, super desired card. You had the Iono special illustration rare from Paldea Evolved. That was also super desired. Right now, you don't hear of that much anymore. The Charizard at one point was a heavily desired card from Obsidian Flames. Once again, right now, that's not even probably in the top 30 most expensive cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. Probably wouldn't even be in the top 40. Then with Paldea and Fates, everyone said, hey, no, it's gonna be the Charizard that's a top chase card. And then Bubble Mew just completely took its thunder. So this is what's happening at the moment. You've got so many chase cards coming out. A lot of people are getting fatigued. I think with Black Bolt and White Flare, it's a very exciting set. I think a lot of people are pumped for that set, but at the same time, people are also saying, wow, every Gen 5 Pokemon is getting an illustration rare or a special illustration rare. That's a lot to deal with, right? And it kind of starts losing what is an actual magical Pokemon anymore. I felt like in the Sword and Shield era, you could tell what was more of kind of a unique or a real rare card. The Scarlet and Violet era definitely has blurred that with the amazing artworks, and even though cards are more accessible, personally, I really do love having those real standout and rare cards in an era. Now, one thing that you really need to expect is that people are going to have more talks about liquidation and exit strategies. People who have been invested in Pokemon cards have been holding on for a while, and everyone just talks about holding, though right now people are doing this for a longer time, and I'd expect a lot more talks around selling to take place. Now, I think this is a little bit of an oversight that's happening right now because so many people are investing in collectibles. Now, everyone is holding onto their investments. Everyone's saying, I'm going to hold onto these sealed products. You don't actually make any of the gains of your sealed product or any of your slabs until you sell. I mean, anyone that's sold sealed product or cards knows it's not that easy. Number one, if you're just fresh and you don't have any feedback score or anything, you kind of need to build that up. So while you're building up your feedback score, you kind of have to sell it for a little bit below market value because you need to kind of earn your stripes. And like I said, holding on product is great, but of course you also have to think of the exit strategy. Especially right now, a lot of you watching and a lot of people in this hobby are holding on to sealed product. Now, it's really great right now because if you wanted to sell it right now and everything's so inflated and everyone's in the hobby and everyone's excited, sure, you will get a good price. But what could happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years if a lot of the people that bought these sealed products and the market isn't there to kind of meet the amount of supply in the market? Well, it could backfire, okay? So I do think a lot of people are also going to be thinking about an exit strategy because like I said, depending on how much you've invested in collectibles, you really don't want to be having a thing where, hey, I can't really get any of this sealed product out, or you sell it at a loss, or any of those kind of discussions to be had. Right now, I wouldn't use the word frustrating for this, but it's just something that we kind of need to talk about, right? Because at this stage, there really isn't any reason for you not to continue holding on to sealed product. I mean, if you look at any kind of historical performances on sealed product, usually if you hold, they just slowly continue to rise over time. And that's kind of a little bit problematic because a lot of people don't want to sell because they all have the same idea that it's like, yeah, I'll sell today, but it's likely next year this is gonna be worth even more. Though a lot of people who invest in collectibles are getting a bit more skilled in the game, they're getting more mature, and they are thinking about realizing some of these gains. So I think this area is gonna continue to grow a little bit in 2025, but definitely expect a lot more of these discussions to take place in 2026 and beyond. And I also think it's important to understand that like a new meta will form around collectors where they take it even more serious than now. This means collectors will become far more data driven and literally speak of Pokemon cards like stocks. Now, I know you may think, hey, this is already happening, though I expect this area to become much bigger, especially with how successful a lot of Pokemon products have been. But really, I don't even think it's kind of gotten to the point where it will get because as more years go on, as more time passes, a lot more people are going to get involved in this hobby. Though I suppose Pokemon is in a very interesting position, especially since the new Legends ZA game is releasing and a lot of hype is building. Though Pokemon has always had an interesting relationship with their video games, and they've always put in some quirky ways to ensure that you can trade and kind of communicate between generations. For example, back in the early 2000s, you could actually send a Pokemon all the way from the GameCube to the Game Boy Advance. Have you ever wondered if a Pokemon from the Game Boy Advance could live on the Nintendo Switch too? Well, I actually take that journey right in this video here. Within this video, I ask the question, how far can a Pokemon actually travel? And I go on the wild adventure of sending a Pokemon from Pokemon Coliseum to Scarlet and Violet. If you love Pokemon, click the video that's appearing on screen and you can see that on my second channel, Philip's Trick Room. I'll see you there.